The RV market across America tanked over the last 3 years. The prices are down 25%, the sales went down by half, and this is something that's leaving a lot of RV owners in the lurch, and it's a sign of the recession that's happening in the background in the US economy.
If you buy the wrong RV right now, you could lose $20,000 before your first trip, and the dealers know it. Across the country, thousands of used rigs are being dumped, yet the same lots still ask full retail. Owners are begging for refunds, trade-ins don't cover loans, and brand new units already need repairs. In this video, we'll expose the 7 brutal truths most travelers learn too late, why so many quit in the first year, and which models drain wallets fastest. Stay to the end for the under $5,000 rigs still holding value, and when prices drop hardest. The depreciation death spiral. They never warn you about this part. The shine of your brand new motorhome feels like success, until the math slaps you across the face. The moment those tires roll off the dealer's lot, your dream rig begins its silent freefall. Take the Forest River Sunseeker as an example. Buy it for $120,000 today, and within 12 months, it can be worth less than $95,000. That is $25,000 gone before you even reach your first national park. And that drop is not a glitch, it is the pattern. RVs do not age like houses or even like trucks. They age like milk. Every mile adds scars the eye cannot see. Frame stress, axle fatigue, hidden moisture, hairline cracks. Each trip, each vibration, quietly rewrites the resale value. Unlike real estate, there is no equity on wheels, only gravity. Dealers know this spiral well. That is why trade-in values always feel insulting. They are not being cruel. They are being realists. Because every buyer wants to believe their used rig is the exception, yet the market keeps proving otherwise. Once the warranty fades, confidence fades with it. People sell early, not because they want to, but because they cannot stomach watching their investment evaporate. You might think buying used solves it. Sometimes it does, for a while, but even pre-owned rigs fall victim to the same cycle. New parts, new tires, a fresh paint touch-up, all temporary bandages. Depreciation does not pause. It just paces itself. And here is the harshest truth. This spiral feeds itself. The more people panic and sell early, the more supply floods the market. Prices sink deeper, buyers wait longer, confidence collapses again. It is the perfect loop of loss, disguised as lifestyle. Still, some travelers accept it. They see the value not in resale, but in experience. Miles over money, memories over math. Maybe that is the real wealth. The kind depreciation cannot touch. But before you decide that trade-off is worth it, prepare yourself, because the next truth takes comfort itself and rips it apart. The comfort mirage. It starts beautifully. Soft lights, warm wood grain, cushions that whisper home. You step inside your brand new Winnebago Vista and believe you have outsmarted the world. 4 walls, 4 wheels, and the freedom to sleep wherever the sunset finds you. But the illusion begins the first night you call it home. The brochure promised comfort. Reality delivers compromise. That plush couch becomes a puzzle of angles and springs. The bed, smaller than you remembered, feels more like a camping mat than a mattress. The air conditioner hums through the night, but somehow the air still clings heavy with heat. Every system works, just not quite how you hoped. Cooking dinner inside sounds charming until the steam fogs every window. You wipe them down again and again like a ritual. Tiny spaces magnify everything. The smell of onions, the click of a spoon, the sound of your partner turning over in bed. Nothing stays private. Nothing stays silent. You tell yourself it is fine, that this is part of the adventure. But when rain hits the roof for 8 straight hours, comfort becomes survival. The sound turns from cozy to claustrophobic. You crave stillness, but there is nowhere for quiet to live. Even the best rigs, the fancy Class A giants with slide-outs wider than hallways, eventually remind you that movement means maintenance. A single seal leak can turn that luxury into a sauna overnight. And when something breaks, comfort disappears with it. A heater fuse, a stuck vent, one power cord left behind, and the entire illusion collapses. Still, there is something beautiful inside this discomfort. It humbles you. You start to see comfort not as a couch or thermostat, but as adaptability. A hot mug of coffee during a storm. A dry towel after another night of condensation. You stop expecting luxury and start appreciating peace. That shift from comfort to contentment is the moment you finally see the Mirage for what it was. Not a failure, a filter. A test every traveler must pass before they truly belong on the road. But if you think weathering discomfort is hard, wait until you meet the next truth, the one written by the weather itself. If this hit harder than you expected, hit that like button right now, because most people will never hear these truths until it's too late. Tell me in the comments, which part of RV life shocked you most? The weather prison. You do not choose the weather chooses you. Ask anyone who has lived through their first storm inside an RV, and they will tell you. The walls talk back. Rain becomes thunder on the roof. Wind turns into pressure you can feel in your chest. And somewhere in that noise, the illusion of control vanishes. When you buy a Jayco Greyhawk, the brochure shows wide blue skies and sunsets that never end. No one shows you the mornings when frost creeps across the inside of your windshield. No one mentions the smell of wet fabric after 3 straight days of rain. That is the real RV classroom, taught by climate, not comfort. Cold bites deeper on the road. Propane drains faster than you planned. Your heater hums until it quits at 3 in the morning, leaving you layered in every sweater you own. Summer offers no mercy either. When the temperature climbs past 102 degrees Fahrenheit, your air conditioner sounds brave but feels weak. Even parked in shade, the heat crawls through every seam. You open the door for air and invite in an army of dust. Moisture becomes a shadow that never leaves. Windows drip, corners sweat. You wipe down condensation again and again, each stroke a reminder that nature owns the lease. And the longer you stay parked, the smaller the space feels. Weather shrinks your world until the only freedom left is patience. Some call it resilience. Others call it surrender. But every traveler learns the same lesson. Your comfort has limits, and the sky decides when to test them. The weather does not care how new your rig is or how carefully you planned. It humbles everyone equally. Yet within that humility lies a strange peace. The rhythm of storms teaches you to adapt, to listen, to move with the elements instead of fighting them. You start reading clouds like road signs. You chase warmth like a compass needle. And when the storm passes, you feel something deeper than relief: gratitude. But once the skies clear, a different challenge appears. Not in the clouds, but on the ground. Finding where to stop becomes the next silent battle. Parking panic? It always looks easy on social media. A perfect sunset. An open lot. A rig parked at the edge of nowhere. Freedom in its purest form, until you try it yourself. The first night out with a Thor 4 winds, reality hits harder than the road. Every open space suddenly feels illegal. Every quiet corner hides a no overnight parking sign you somehow missed in daylight. You start driving circles around gas stations, grocery stores, and rest areas, chasing the promise of sleep that keeps slipping away. That is when the panic starts. The kind that creeps in after midnight. You ask yourself, is this safe? Will someone knock on the door? What if the police tell us to move? The thrill of the road fades into tension you can feel in your shoulders. Apps promise to help. iOverlander, Campendium, Free Roam, all brilliant in theory, yet half their listings lead to disappointment. You follow the map to a so-called rest site, only to find locked gates, broken taps, or locals who glare until you leave. The internet makes adventure look infinite, but the pavement has limits. And then there are the campgrounds, fully booked, overpriced, or wedged so tight your neighbor's window is a handshake away from yours. You pay $50 for the privilege of parking on gravel beside another tired traveler who looks just as defeated. Still, there are moments of grace. A small-town park where no one minds. A quiet pullout beneath pine trees where dawn feels earned. Those are the nights that keep you going. Proof that the search, however stressful, can still reward the patient. Eventually, the panic fades into pattern. You trust your judgment, not the app. You learn which shadows welcome you and which doors do not. Each successful night feels like a quiet victory. Parking stops being survival. It becomes skill, earned one sleepless mile at a time. But make no mistake, Finding a safe place to sleep is not part of the adventure. It is the adventure. It tests your intuition, your nerves, and sometimes your luck. You learn to trust your instincts more than your GPS. Because on the open road, safety is not a setting, it is a skill. And just when you think you have found your rhythm, another lesson rolls in, this time under the hood and in the gut, where reliability turns into roulette, the breakdown lottery. No one ever expects it to happen to them. You hear stories, sure, the stranded travelers on dusty highways, waiting for help that never comes, but you assume your rig will be different, until the moment it isn't. It begins quietly. A warning light flickers, a faint smell of antifreeze, a sound that does not belong, and suddenly, your weekend escape in the Coachman Leprechaun becomes a lesson in mechanical humility. Every mile you drive is a ticket in the breakdown lottery. You never know when your number will be called. Engines, transmissions, slide-outs, water heaters. They do not care how careful you are. They care only about time, motion, and wear, because every bump on the road is a whisper of what might fail next. The real shock is not the breakdown itself. It is the cost. A mobile repair technician can charge $150 just to show up. Parts take weeks to ship. And while you wait, you are stuck. No power, no shower, and nowhere to go. Even minor fixes become emotional storms. One stripped bolt can feel like the universe is laughing. Dealerships are no refuge either. They are booked months in advance. They promise quick turnarounds that stretch into endless phone calls. Meanwhile, you live out of a borrowed motel room, counting the days and the dollars disappearing together. And then there is the deeper truth, the one that no warranty covers. When your home breaks, it is not just inconvenience, it is identity. Your shelter, your mobility, your sense of freedom, all held hostage by a single broken part. That vulnerability changes you. You stop measuring journeys in miles and start measuring them in trust. But here is the paradox. Those breakdowns, the ones that bring you to your knees, also bind you to the road. They strip away pride, leave you patient, resourceful, almost grateful, because every fix becomes a small resurrection. Over time, every busted belt and leaking hose becomes part of your story. You stop seeing repairs as punishment and start seeing them as progress. Each fix earns you confidence. Each challenge rewrites your patience. The road toughens you quietly, until one day, breakdowns no longer break you. And once your rig finally roars back to life, you feel something rare, not victory, but survival. Still, there is another test waiting, one that does not attack the engine, but the heart. It is called isolation, and it travels quietly in the seat beside you. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of most new travelers, so don't stop now. Subscribe before the next road lesson finds you the hard way. The next video dives even deeper. The rigs experts say to avoid in 2025. Trust me, you'll want to see that first. The loneliness factor. Silence has a sound. You notice it after the engine cools, when the campfire dies, and the last light fades behind the trees. At first, it feels peaceful, a rare kind of stillness that city life never gives you. But soon, that silence starts to stretch, pulling at the edges of your mind. In your first weeks with the Airstream Caravel, the solitude feels romantic. You wake to mist over a lake. You make coffee to the rhythm of birds. Freedom, pure and simple. But after a few hundred miles, that freedom begins to echo. You realize no one knows where you are. Not exactly. Not tonight. And that is when the weight of distance hits. You can drive for 8 straight hours and never meet a familiar face. Gas stations blur. Landscapes repeat. Even the most beautiful views start to lose meaning when there is no one beside you to share them. Loneliness is not loud. It creeps. It seeps through the cracks of adventure until it becomes a quiet companion you never invited. Couples feel it too. 2 people in 200 square feet learn that proximity is not connection. You talk less, not because there is nothing to say, but because the silence becomes a habit. You miss birthdays, family dinners, voices that used to fill the background. Soon, even small talk with strangers feels like sunlight after a long winter. And yet, loneliness does something powerful. It exposes what you truly value. It makes every conversation matter. You begin to crave depth over noise. When you finally meet another traveler at a rest stop, you talk like old friends. You swap routes, repairs, and reasons for staying on the road. Proof that connection still survives out here. The truth is, solitude is both punishment and teacher. It strips away distraction until you see yourself clearly, flaws and all. Some break under it, others rebuild. But no one escapes unchanged. But the road has its quiet rewards. You start recognizing familiar faces at distant campsites, building friendships one sunrise at a time. A wave becomes a conversation. A shared meal turns into community. Loneliness doesn't vanish, it transforms. What once felt like isolation begins to feel like belonging in motion, because every mile alone whispers the same question: who are you when the map runs out? And once you find that answer, you are ready for the harshest truth of all: the illusion of freedom itself. The freedom illusion. Freedom. That is the word that sells it all. The glossy brochures, the smiling couples, the wide-open highways stretching forever. They promise a life without limits. No rent, no rules, no roots. But every promise hides a contract you never see. One written in miles, money, and maintenance. When you first drive off in your gleaming Tiffin Allegro open road, it feels like victory. You hold the keys to everywhere. You can chase the seasons, skip the crowds, and write your own schedule. But freedom, as it turns out, has fine print, and that fine print always collects. Fuel becomes your rent. Insurance becomes your landlord. Every toll booth, every oil change, every campground reservation reminds you that even movement costs something. You trade walls for wheels, but the bills still find you. And while the road may look endless, your budget is not. Then there are the invisible chains, the ones you do not see until you stop. The constant planning, the endless research, where to park, where to dump, where to refill, where to repair. Your life becomes a spreadsheet of logistics disguised as liberation. It is not freedom that wears you down. It is the management of it. Even the open highway carries its own weight. Too much time alone with your thoughts. Too many goodbyes. Every departure costs a little piece of belonging. You realize freedom is not the absence of attachment. It is the privilege of choosing which attachments to keep. Still, the illusion is not all deception. There is a version of freedom that survives the wear. It is smaller, quieter, more personal. It lives in sunrise coffee outside your door. It lives in the moment you fix something with your own hands. It lives in the knowledge that you could stay or go, not because you must, but because you can. That is the real freedom. Not the fantasy, but the discipline, the courage to keep going, even when the illusion fades. And as the road unravels behind you, one truth becomes clear. You were never chasing escape. You were chasing understanding. And now, at last, you have caught it. Every mile teaches something the brochures forget. Freedom isn't found. It's earned through leaks, storms, and lessons you only learn on the road. If these truths opened your eyes, keep them open, because the journey never really ends. Hit subscribe, join our road family, and be ready.